All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
Welcome to Bring It Tonight. Oh, yeah, do that one. Welcome to Bring It Tonight. My name is Ray Cruz. I am your host. Yoel usually here is our normal host. He's out on a gig tonight. So we have the president of the ASAP Network, Brady Henderson. How you doing, Freddie?
Man, I'm wonderful. It's even better when I can do a show with Coach down there at the bottom. And I get, I had to come on the show today because Ray is the guy that I recruited on the network, but he always runs from me every time. So I had to come and tackle him. So I can educate these two gentlemen today on some knowledge of sports. And that's what I do.
Right on, Freddie. You changed me over from real talk all the way down to sports corner, then changed me all the way around. Came back to Bring It. Now you chasing me back. Now you saying I'm running? I don't run, bud. I always here. You can find me on the ASAP Network, All Sports, All Plays Network. How you doing, Coach? How you been up to, man?
What's up, man? Everything's good, man. Just had a wonderful Sunday of football.
Yeah, there's some good games, man. Both games come down to the wire, field goal in both. I think the NFL did it right on the scheduling and made it a competitive NFL this year. What do y'all think?
Most definitely.
I agree.
You mean to tell me a game come to field goal, coming to overtime. A lot of people don't like the overtime rules because the opposing team don't get the football. Well, ladies and gentlemen, do what the Cincinnati Bengals did: play defense, get the ball back, and win the game.
Yeah, that's true too. We're gonna go ahead and hit our first topic here. We're gonna go talk about the NFC Championship game. What are your opinion, your thoughts on the games for the NFC Championship?
Freddie, you want me to go first?
Yeah, you
can go first.
Oh, because Freddie, I thought you froze for a second. To be honest with you, man, it was a good game. They let them play. I mean, you can sit there, you can say the refs. There's a lot of flags the refs probably should have thrown, but they actually just let them play. It was a physical game, and it was back and forth. There was a lot of noise talking. I mean, you love it. That's the NFC for you. Like that's what they bring. They're gonna be nasty.
Yeah, I know when I was watching at first, the first three and a half quarters, I was like, okay, Matthew, you hear the narrative. Hey, he's been in Detroit where careers die. Okay, when are you going to step up? When are we going to see you? Are you going to help us change the narrative? Because at first, San Francisco came in the game, and man, honestly, it was a perfect game for them. It's them going into the game. They did not want it any better than what they got it. That defense, they held the Rams down because that offense was even though they did have big plays, big moments, but they did not run all over the field on this San Francisco 49ers team. And I will say this: if they have a quarterback outside of Jimmy G, who can make plays down the stretch to make big throws to win games. Hey, because let's be honest, the 49ers team is a great system offense. Kyle Shanahan has a great system in place where they'll run the ball first team. They depend on Deebo Samuel. And then, Jimmy G, he's a good system quarterback. A lot of people like to slam him, but, Jimmy G comes in there. He knows his role. He knows what he has to do to help this team win games. And they're normally successful with the guy in the playoffs, a guy that have a 5-2 record in the playoffs. And hats off to them. They had a hell of a playoff run this year. They beat the Cowboys, they beat the Green Bay Packers, and they made it to the championship game. and they was really a quarter away to going to the Super Bowl. But the Rams, shout out to the Rams. Donald, I was waiting for him to made an impact in that game, and finally, when it mattered, he caused pressure to Jimmy G to force that interception, and then hey, ball game. Can't hear
Ray,
you.
you mute. Ray, you mute.
If you look at it that way too, if you look at what happened in the week 18th game and the up to this game here, I mean the script really flipped. I mean Jimmy Garoppolo had over 300 yards passing in week 18. He only had two, and then Stafford only had like 200 and some. And they flipped the script. Jimmy Garoppolo had 200 some yards passing, and then Matthew Stafford had over the 300 yards passing. But sack totals were down too between the two games, and then the quarterback hits, it was down by 4. But they didn't get really to Kenny G, but they did hurry him more to get that interception. That last interception on that forced play right there really slowed the game down and really cost them the game. Saved the game for the Rams. So, I mean, you got key plays in there, and Matthew Stafford went 0-4 with the Detroit Lions. Now he has won 3 now, and it's on to the Super Bowl. So, what do you think about Matthew Stafford and the Rams? You see him now with the Rams? He looks totally different from what he did with the Lions.
To be honest with you, it's not. He don't look different from the Lions. I mean, if you go back and look at the playoff games, Matthew Stafford played well. The defense didn't play well. I think we have an issue. A lot of people we give people bad raps of what they was 3 or 4 years ago, and not what they're doing now. I mean, even for the good. I mean, I argue with people all the time about certain people and players. I'm not going to go there with that, but he looks good. He has toys to play with. You have a running back to play. I think the tight end spot is going to be real, real scary for them because they don't have anybody. Because I can't think his name. He went down. I don't know what. So they didn't say anything about his injury yet. I know it's a knee injury, but they didn't say if it was an ACL or MCL. Good thing about it is you got 2 weeks to be healthy and prepared. I like Stafford. I said it from the beginning. Stafford's a top 10 quarterback. Especially he's a top 5 quarterback if you put the guys that he had around him. I mean, Odell Beckham, Cup. Those are top 10 quarterbacks. Those are top 10 receivers that complement each other.
Yeah, and then if you look at what we're going to talk about the AFC here in a minute, we're going to talk about the Bengals and the Chiefs game, and the winner of that game, the Bengals moving on to the Super Bowl. So, for that game here, the question I really have for that quick game here is that Pat Mahomes came out and said that it was his fault that they lost the game. They were up 21-3. But who really is in fault? I mean, is it both Mahomes and the coaching, or is just the Bengals defensive play at that point? The turning point I thought of the game was that 80-yard drive, no score, come out of it before halftime by the Chiefs, and gave the Bengals life in the defense and probably reunited their offense when the defense was playing good. So, what do we see in that situation here, Freddie? What do you think about that? You think Pat Mahomes took the blunt, or should Andy Reid take some of it too?
You have to, give credit to, you have to give blame to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Going into the halftime, they had a chance to get points. You're already up by 18 points. You always get your 3. It's 4th down and go. You get your 3. We could all say they was feeling good about themselves. One thing about Patrick Mahomes, and you've seen this as a young quarterback in the league, he liked the big plays. He liked bombing down the field. That's one thing. You get Patrick Mahomes, the first thing he want to do is throw deep. And, sometimes that hurts you, and yesterday I believe it hurt him a lot because they're looking for the big play. That's what makes Tom Brady so great. We see Tom Brady get these little dings, these little donks, these little short passes. He does a little short passes, Yes, he can take the long passes, but what he does is he set his offense up. He time managed going down the field as well. And Patrick Mahomes, and hey, this is something that Aaron Rodgers messed up as well. He liked to take the big plays as well. So if instead of him getting the big plays and looking downfield, he could have got him 3 to 5 yards, pushing the ball down the field, go on a 5, 6, 7 minute drive in the third quarter. And what that does, that limits the possession from the Cincinnati Bengals. And then another thing, you credit to the Bengals. Their defense in the second half played much better. The CBs played a lot better, guarding Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, and those guys as well. Because you literally seen on multiple drives that Patrick Mahomes was spinning out, trying to run around and trying to find somebody who has separation. It was not there. So they definitely, I believe, they need another weapon on the offensive end. To help create that separation. But hey, you have to give some blame to Andy Reid, but most of it do go to Patrick Mahomes because he was a no show in that second half.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I put it on Pat Mahomes because he made the decision to go for it and going into halftime, and then a lot of it is just he just had a lot of bad reads, man. So it's more on him because it's one of those things that they would have won. We would have gave it to Patrick Mahomes, but I think that's what comes with it. You get the bad and the good. So
Yeah, can I ask a question though, Ray?
Go ahead.
Hey, Coach. So last couple of years, we've always been wanting to get Eric Bieniemy a job in the NFL. Okay, well here we are again. We have teams still open for jobs, but this is the second year in a row that the
third
Chiefs
year,
came up short. Granted, last year they came up short in the Super Bowl, but this year you come up short. Do you believe that he'll get a job this offseason, or will we see him back as that assistant coach next year?
he won't. Go ahead, Ray. You can answer if you want to.
Well, I look at it two different ways here, and we know Andy Reid's really calling the plays. Basically, that's straight up for it. Andy Reid came out today and said that I've seen some reports came out today said that you can't blame this loss on the enemy because I took over some of the play callings and the crucial situations like the fourth down play and all that stuff. So I mean, you can't really blame. Then he said you can't really blame him because he's not calling the plays when that on that fourth down play. Before halftime, Andy Reid overrode that and called it himself to go for it, and he relayed it out to Pat Mahomes. So I mean, you got two different ways here too. I like Eric Bieniemy. I think he deserves a head coaching job. I hope he gets one of these vacancies. I think the tendency for him is I think New Orleans should go after him because I think he fits that organization well with the Manning. Just got to get another good quarterback in there or have Winston come back off his injury. Hopefully he comes back, pretty good. And then you got Jason Tyson Hill. So I mean, I think his play calling and his configuration is good for New Orleans. I think he should be really looked at right there in New Orleans and myself. So I mean, I don't really blame the loss on Eric Bieniemy because we don't know what's going on, but we know that Andy Reid does have some of them plays in crucial situation that backfires, and it will give some people will give Eric Bieniemy since he's labeled the offensive coordinator. So I mean, over time, I think it's all going to come out that Andy Reid called it questionable plays, and it really not going to hurt him at all.
Man, Eric Bieniemy is not getting a job. As long as he stays in Kansas City, he won't get a job. I've said it. This is going on 3 years. He dang near interviewed every team in the NFL. He's not getting a job. Just for the simple fact of the matter, I think Nagy messed it up. I think Nagy messed it up for them. And Troy, I'm gonna comment on that real quick because I'm gonna say what I believe on that. I think Nagy messed it up for him because he was supposed to be the guru that came out of Kansas City, and now Eric Bieniemy, he needs to go to like a Pittsburgh or somewhere where he's legit. He is just the play caller. He makes the decision on the offense end. If not, he's just gonna be waiting in the wing because he's not gonna get it. And one thing about it is, if we really want to get, there's only what Leftwich and was it Flores? Not Flores. Is it dog? What was the coach? He was the Lions' last coach, Jim Caldwell. Those are the only two OCs black OCs that we ever had as head coaches. And I to be honest with you, you got to be an OC to get a head job nowadays, because all the DC jobs, they're the ones that are getting fired. And to piggyback on what Troy said about Jacksonville, if you get Brian Leftwich, I promise you, you have 2 receivers and you get 2 linemen, because you sure can take from Tampa Bay, because you got a lot of money. You can get you 2 linemen and you can get you a receiver. There's a lot of good receivers that's free agent. If you get Brian Leftwich, if you don't get Brian Leftwich, y'all gonna be where y'all at.
Don't they need to fire the GM? Like, isn't that one of the requests that he had for him?
You mute, Ray.
Let me ask the next question here. Since I live in Jacksonville and I'm really close with the organization and stuff like that, trying to get in, the back door so we can get some press potentials. But anyway, according to that, is Brian Leftwich wants Balky gone, and right now Jaguars are keeping him. They're in negotiation right now with Aaron Wilson at the Arizona Cardinals, trying to see if they can lure him out of that situation. If they can lure him out, they'll sign him, fire Balky, and then Leftwich will come. That's what Leftwich has stated. He wants the general manager gone. Nobody wants to work for him. Not even other coaches that came in here. They don't want to work for him. They all came in with suggestions to fire him. So Shah Khan says, hey, if Aaron Wilson signs as a GM, they will fire Balky right away, hire him, put that on the pressures, Leftwich will come. That's the problem. The only other problem is, yes, we're looking at the Rams offensive coordinator, and we know he ain't really calling the plays because McVay's, he see him sweating on the card sheet all the time. But anyway, so I don't like him coming. I like Leftwich coming, because the situation with Leftwich is a smart guy. Because if you went back to his playing days when he played the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mike Tomlin has came out and said that he mixed up a blitz call because they were blitzing from the left side, and they were going to bring the blitz to the right side this time. Leftwich picked it up before the play was even called. There was a call in. He audible to the right play to go to the left side because he seen the guy change over to the right, because Tomlinson changed the whole defensive side, but the best pass rush on the right side, and so that left the left side open. So, I mean, he's a really smart guy. He really sees the plays. He really sees the playbook. I really like him as being the offensive coordinator. And I like him coming here and being a head coach because he knows what the Jaguars' situation is. He's been here. He knows the culture. He knows he needs to change the culture. He's even said that a few times that the culture here in Jacksonville needs to be changed, because we are now going from a 2017 AFC Championship game all the way back to where we were before that 2017. Now we're trying to build back up again. And I think it all goes to the fact that wide receiver Alvin Robinson didn't stay. He went to Chicago instead. That really hurt us in the wide receiver spot. But Leftwich knows how to recruit. He knows how to scout people. He knows what he wants, and he wants to make some of the player decision. That's what Aaron Wilson will give him, to allow him to do, to go out and scout the players that we really need to go and fit his offensive system. So, I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars right now, the state of the franchise is in a mess. And the only way to get it correct is if they can hire Brian Leftwich and Aaron Wilson, have them work together and change this culture around the way it needs to be, because right now Jaguars just keep going downhill.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, because I've been saying it from the beginning. The Bucks have been putting up points with Brady, and they put up points with Winston. Like, so he's great at what he does, and right now he has a great opportunity because, like I said, Tampa Bay has to resign 2 linemen, 3 running backs, Godwin, OJ Mayo. Like, you can scoop 2 or 3 of these guys because you got more money. So I really, really think if you trying to get it going, you probably can get Allen Robinson back because he's a free agent and he didn't do nothing in Chicago. So Brian Leftwich would be the best choice.
Yeah,
but y'all gonna mess it up and get some sorry defensive coach.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the last 2 coaches have been defensive minded coaches. Except for Urban Myers, we don't know what he was. He was a woman's chaser, I guess. That's the only kind of playbook he really won here in the NFL. And then he goes out and blasts Jacksonville because it was his worst decision in coaching. I don't think so. I think he's just just was him and his decision making and him in the bar, his own bar, messing with females. I mean, that was his downfall. Now that was nothing to do with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So now let's move on, Coach. We're gonna go talk about your man Tom Brady. Is he really retiring?
Yes.
You need the music, Coach?
No. Have you seen Endgame, the movie?
I haven't seen that one yet. I'm planning on here in a couple next week or so.
Oh, well, I can't tell you the spoiler then. Freddie, you seen Endgame? You saw what happened at the end? Yeah. And you saw what what's the name said? You can rest now. Tom Brady, you can rest. And I've said it from the beginning, man. And we talked about it. If he played this year for back-to-back, that was all he talking about. That was his motivation, was to go back-to-back. If they would have won, say if they would have won the Super Bowl, then it would have been like, hey, let's do a 3-peat because he can do it. I think now is what am I playing for? Like, really, what are you playing for? You don't. He doesn't. I don't think he has the fight anymore because a guy like Tom Brady, it was when he was at Michigan, he competed for a spot. When he got drafted, that was his few 6th round. This and that. I told Wesley I'm gonna be there. So then when he left New England and went to Tampa, it was let me do it without Bill. Everybody put us together and said, Bill created me. Let me show y'all something. And then you saw at the beginning of the season where they say run it back. Let me take these pay cuts and run it back. So now it's like, what do I play for? Because everybody say, well, you gotta go out on a win. Then if he wins it, what are they gonna say? Man, run it back. So I just truly believe thinks that he has no motives because his oldest son is about to be a freshman in high school. You got other stuff on the outside. Then on top of that, man, the man eats avocados and do all these things. He don't eat, like, he has a strict diet. Like, that kid's tired. And sometimes you just want to relax and just enjoy your family. So I think he's done. I hope he's done because he deserves it, man. He's the greatest of all time. He reached the height. There's nothing else.
I know, man's got 6 Super Bowl rings, 6 with Patriots, 1 with the Buccaneers, total 7. I mean, he's got 15 Pro Bowls. He's got 3 NFL MVP awards. I mean, there's nothing else he could do. I mean, he's the age of 44. He did have a rumor out that when he first came over to Tampa that, he was talking about asking when he was going to retire. He said 45. Beginning of this football season, NFL season coming up season, he will be 45. So that, that's something to play around with. I mean, you get 45 years old, your body's starting to break down a little bit, So, Freddie, do you see Tom Brady retiring?
Man, listen, just like Coach said, at this point, this man is just chasing air. He's chasing air. He's not chasing. He can't chase nobody. I mean, he has nothing else to prove. Like zero. I think Giselle, his wife, and his family is going to have a lot to say in this because, hey, Tom, you accomplished that. Okay, well now we need you to come be dad. We need you to be the husband. We need you to start this venture on the outside of football. Okay, and if he retires, the game will truly miss him. There's going to be a lot of guys that look up to him. But at the end of the day, he has nothing to prove. And it's time. Everybody have their time. Everybody have their moment. And the NFL's in a good position right now. And we've definitely seen it this playoffs. We've seen Rodgers and Brady out of the playoffs, and the playoffs have still been good football. So clearly, the NFL is in a good place right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna put Coach back on the spot right here. I got a good question for you, Coach. Who's the next quarterback for Tampa Bay? If Brady retires, will it be Steve Tasker or will it be Blaine Gabbert? Or would they draft somebody?
They probably get somebody at a free agent. It's a lot of guys at the free agent. I think everything goes off what happens to Brian Leftwich, because now you got to see who's going to be the next offensive coordinator and what is their style like. Because I don't think what's his name's going to go back to being. He's just going to be a head coach. He's not going to coach the team. So I got to look at the free agent, man. I got to see who's all. Like I said, you got Teddy check down. Shoot, you got Garoppolo, Jimmy. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of options, man, because there's a lot of quarterbacks. Shoot, you could if you want to go. I can't go White. The second striker, he actually played well and threw the ball around. I mean, you don't. You just need somebody very serviceable because you're gonna have, like I said, you still got Mike Evans. You still got the other receivers. Godwin might come back. He might come back on a cheaper deal just because he got hurt late.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, Freddie.
No, I wasn't gonna say nothing.
All right. Well, I got one more question here, and I've seen this rumor too. Some people said that Tampa might keep Brian Leftwich, or just keep him as offensive coordinator, and then Bruce Arians leaves next year, and then put Leftwich up as the head coach. Do you see that happening?
if he doesn't go to Jacksonville, I think Jacksonville is somewhat that's kind of like home.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's to your heart for him, but if he doesn't go to Jacksonville, then I can see him still standing there and just having it because Bruce Arians probably got maybe 2 more years. My man was looking like he was hurting on that sideline.
Hey, I do got something for Coach.
Yeah.
Because I did see this little rumor, this little report that Aaron Rodgers could be interested in coming to Tampa. Would you be okay with Rodgers?
Yeah, Rodgers.
Well,
here's the thing about Rodgers, and this is the honest truth. Rodgers still fits in well, but for Rodgers he needs a guy like Godwin to make sure he's there also. But also you got to realize you take Tampa's defense. Tampa Bay defense is way 20 times better than Green Bay's defense. Yeah. And on top of that, they were smart because they drafted D ends, they drafted D tackle, they drafted a linebacker to replace some of the guys which got a lot of playing time this year because Pierre Paul was gone.
Yeah,
my bad.
And to answer that question here, there's also a rumor that he really likes Nate Hackett, so he can be on his way up to Denver too.
But we say all these things, man. Ain't nobody finna make that trade.
No,
you don't think so?
No, because you gotta realize the Packers gonna have 20 some $1 million of dead cap. So it has to be like, hey, we're gonna restructure your contract to where we don't have to pay this. But then you gotta realize he only has a 1 year deal. So now you gotta negotiate, make sure he wants to stay there 3 or 4 years. And he doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to go to Denver, man. That means you gotta go against Pat Mahomes, Josh McDaniels as the coach for the Raiders, and we ain't gonna talk about the Chargers. Come on,
yeah,
man.
because we say that, and I understand it. I mean, I understand they're young guns down there, but they got to go against him as well. I mean, it's not going to be an easy out. I mean, Denver do have some weapons down there, and I mean, they have the cap space that they can load up.
You keep saying that Denver has weapons and they have this, and maybe the weakest spot is the quarterback. Man, you don't know who's calling the plays, and this. And to answer that question, Adams not going to Tampa Bay. Rodgers is not going to Tampa Bay. Rodgers is on the contract. Adams can get franchise tag.
He gonna get franchise tag.
Because if anything, like I said, if anything, you want to say that if he doesn't get franchise tag, that goes back to him. He can go to Jacksonville. They got money. they can back up the truck. Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah, we got enough. We got the number one most cap space in the world, and we could go out and get Aaron Rodgers and Jamal Adams, put them all together, and still have enough cap space to get more players.
Yeah. So I don't like everybody keep hooping. Aaron Rodgers is a great quarterback, but still, I've never put him in that category of elite because I've watched him. As a matter of fact, I remember it was years back. I watched him when he played Arizona Cardinals, and he was supposed to beat them, and he just tricked it out. He just blew it. Like a lot of people, again, they live off of what he does in the regular season and think Aaron Rodgers is like the best thing out there. I'm not gonna say his name, Freddie, but I'm just telling you, man. Aaron Rodgers don't want that smoke because that means you got 8 games every year. 8 games every year where you're battling.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's move right along to here. Sean Payton, he's retired. He said he was going to take a year, go into at least a year to go into broadcast, and then now we have rumors out that the Dallas Cowboys could be calling him that, and he's already stated the Cowboys was his dream job. He has a house in Dallas. He's going back to Dallas out of this. So during the offseason, he lives in Dallas. So now the question is Sean Payton really took that fake retirement from New Orleans to try to get this Dallas Cowboy job? Go ahead,
No,
Freddie.
no. He stepped away because he don't have a Drew Brees in New Orleans anymore. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, he's been down there in the QB positions, been very consistent. Once he stepped down, everybody wanted to tie it down to Dallas and all that. But I'm just saying, hey, New Orleans, they had a problem. He came in the season. Michael Thomas wanted to come in, have a surgery before the season started. And then, hey, there's anticipation that Michael Thomas is coming back during the season, but when Winston went down, he was done. Michael Thomas was done. He didn't come back. So I mean, there's a lot of question marks with the New Orleans with their cap space. The cap space is bad down there. And then I mean, are we sure Jerry Jones is okay with not bringing in the yes man? I mean, I'm not sure of that. I mean, they gonna have to have a conversation. Sean, they're gonna be like this. Hey, Jerry, are you gonna let me run my franchise? Run this franchise? Oh, I don't know. I've been so used to being called coach. So I'm not sure about that. I mean, no. I just think it's too many question marks in Dallas. And like I said, this New Orleans team have too much. They have their cap space is horrible, so it's nothing they can really do. They can't bring nobody else in. So it's all about that QB position not being Drew Brees there. I kind of felt it when Drew Brees retired. I was like, okay, let's see how long Sean Payton's going to be there. And that's it. That's all. And even if he go to Dallas, there's going to be a conversation with him and Jerry Jones, and he gonna say, Jerry, are you gonna or because he's not gonna be a yes man like Jerry loves to have this yes man. So no.
No, I think he. To be honest with you, Freddie, I think he left because you saw $80 million cat hit, and you can't get a quarterback to come in there. So you about to get slaughtered. You got a number one receiver that hasn't shown up all year. So you don't want to be a part of that mess and that drama. I mean,
Exactly.
he's feeling good. He done made a movie. He done made a movie on Netflix. So
He better go in the broadcast world as well, make some money there.
yeah, I think he's really gonna pick a spot to what feels good for him because we all know there's gonna be about 3 or 4 job openings, especially for him. So he'll have a young quarterback that he can mold and be with for years to come.
And I
And
think the thing is, he got to be in a franchise that's going to allow him to do what he wants to do.
but he will though because he got the pedigree. He has the potentials to do. He has they know what he's gonna do offensively.
Well, that's
They
why I
know.
say, I'm not sure about Dallas because, hey, we've had great coaches available many times, but Jerry Jones, he wants to have his fingerprints and things. So that's why I was like, I don't know about the
But
Dallas.
we say that, but let me ask you this: everybody knocks the hire of the head coach. Who else was out there to hire?
I mean, I understand.
He won a Super Bowl. He coached Aaron Rodgers. Like who else was out there to hire? That's the question that I want to know. Like everybody keeps saying, I can't believe he hired him. It was because of this and this and that. But who else is out there?
They could have probably, well, honestly, coach,
Who?
they could have. I mean, this is the same year. No, he was already there. Mike,
Yep,
yeah, never mind. Yeah,
yep. They were all these OCs that had the pedigree. They were already hired. They were already hired.
Yeah, that's true too. I mean, Jerry Jones wants to be he wants to be the micromanager type dude. He's got to have a coach that wants him to be be micromanagement. But to get Sean Payton there, he's gonna have to take a back seat. He's just got to be the owner. Paying money and let Sean Payton run him and the GM run the day-to-day operations. I mean, that's what's wrong with the Cowboys now.
But I think,
I mean,
but honestly, truthfully, I think the last 2 years, Jerry kind of stepped back. Like
I agree, coach.
he goes.
I said it too.
Because if you look at Jerry didn't pick them drafts. He didn't draft them last 3 years. It was guys It was guys he said he wanted to, and his son was like, "No, that's not what we're gonna do." I think because he's at that point. He's at that point now. He's old, so he's
He
kind of
will
like,
win.
I'm gonna go and I'm gonna talk on the TV shows. I'm gonna talk afterwards. Jerry's a smart businessman. One thing about Jerry, he try to put it all on him instead of people talking more about the Cowboys. And he say things to now it's like, well, Jerry said this. So they don't have to worry about that. But like I said, I'm still waiting. Who else could have hired when they hired the head coach that they got?
Well, I agree with you on the Jerry part because I said this too. I said, you mean it. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks in the league that wish that, hey, they bring in the weapons that they brought in for Dak Prescott. I mean, you look all around the field from the running backs to Cooper to CD Lamb to I can't think of the other receiver name. The little oh man, it's on my head too. And the tight ends that they have and they had it's not they didn't have a horrible offensive line, but it's decent. Michael Gallup, that's what I was thinking of. So I mean, they had weapons. I mean, they spent money on the offense and on the defense. They brought in a Parsons who made your defense a lot better. You already had a DeMarcus Lawrence, Randy Gregory, and those guys. I mean, I'm pretty sure Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, or somebody like that would love if their owners are spending the money on their teams where they could be successful. But you have to give credit to Jerry Jones because he
Yeah,
opened
that's
the wallet.
yeah, that's true too. I mean, if you look at it that way, we're gonna go ahead and take a commercial break here, and we'll be right back. And we're gonna come back and talk about the hiring coaches and see if they were hired for the right job at the right place. So we'll be right back.
Oh, I love
What
this.
did you say?
I said Kobe Bean Bryant has been overrated ever since he passed away.
Now, I'd say they could lose about 4, but I don't see them losing 5. You know what I mean?
Whole sports, all plays. Whole sports, all plays. Whole sports, all plays.
Welcome back to the All Sports All Play Network. Bring it. Our segment here, we're going to talk about. I'm going to name the list of the coaches that have been hired, and you all going to tell me if they've been hired the right spot or the wrong spot and why. The first one on the list is the Denver Broncos hiring Green Bay offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett for the fired Nick Benzio. So is this the right hire?
It's only right if it works. That's it. If you land Aaron Rodgers, okay, it worked. If Rodgers don't come, you don't get him, you fail. Point blank.
Hell no. No, I don't care what you say. I don't care what Freddie say because he came from Green Bay. Hell, I don't even care what Aaron Rodgers say. He never when I can't tell you he ain't called a play at Green Bay. Didn't he? Wasn't he the Jaguars coach?
He was offensive coordinator, and he always threw these screens, wide receiver screens, the split. Oh, I can tell you the favorite play. The favorite play is 26, run up the middle. That was the favorite play.
And now we're talking about being creative and everything else. And you bring a guy in that's with the Jaguar. No, I'm sorry.
Well, Coach, that's why I said if the Denver Broncos land Aaron Rodgers, that's the only reason why I say it worked. But if you don't do that, if you don't land him, then it was a bust hire.
You're not going to get Rodgers. If you get Rodgers, Denver going to have to give up 2 or 3 of those receivers.
Well, the next one on the list is the New York Giants hiring Bill offensive coordinator Brian DeBall for the fired Joe Judge. Is that right? Is that right call, Freddie?
I love it. I'm happy just for this one reason here. The GM that we got, and by bringing him in, look what they did to Josh Allen. Look what they did to that Bills offense. Listen here, I'm not comparing. I'm not comparing Josh Allen to Daniel Jones at all. I will never do that. But they're very similar. When I say similar, you're talking about Daniel Jones who loved to run the football. And then we talking about, so I believe the ball can kind of like, okay, let's take a step back. He's gonna get what's best out of. He's gonna get Daniel Jones the best out of Daniel Jones. But they a lot have to do with this offensive line. They built this team correctly. I love the hire. Coach, you love it too.
What do you think, Coach?
It's a good hire. In a way, let me say this in a way before people get to commenting and all that. If you look at how the Giants are set up and you look how the Bills are set up, they pretty much evenly. Like Daniel Jones is no different from the quarterback they got in Buffalo. The only thing they do have is they got Stephon Diggs, but everything else is exactly the same. I know people gonna crucify me because I compared him to the almighty, the elite.
I'm not. I love it.
The elite quarterback in Buffalo, Josh Allen. But if you think, like I said, if you look at how they are set, stop doing that. That's how they are.
I'm not gonna crucify you. I think you did a wonderful assessment.
Because Josh Allen likes to run the ball.
Daniel Jones likes to run the ball.
Daniel Jones likes to run the ball. You got a better running back. Tight ends are kind of equal if Ingram stays healthy.
And he can catch, hopefully.
Hey, the receiver core is not bad. You just don't have a legit number one.
Yeah, I agree with that assessment too. I agree with both of y'all. I mean, but you talking about Daniel Jones running the ball, he just got to worry about not tripping over his left feet on a 90-yard run when ain't nobody near him. That's the only thing he got to worry about.
Oh, you know what I love to see? Y'all seen the ball get out that raptor out there in the snow today on the first day of the job. Oh, they gave me as a Giants fan a lot of motivation. I'm ready. Let's go. Woo!
All right, how about the Chicago Bears hiring Colts defensive coordinator Matt Uberfuss for the fired Matt Nagy? That's the right call there.
I felt they could have done better. There's better options out there. You had the ball that was still available. You have Brian Flores that's available. I just feel like you needed to get this offensive-minded coach around Justin Field. You know, Justin Field's a young quarterback, and, you know, you needed somebody that's going to come in there and try to be offensive-minded with him to help him take that team to the next level because, hey, if Aaron Rodgers do leave Green Bay, hey, it's up in the air. You know, it's up in the air who division that's going to be. So me personally, I just wish it was more of a, you know, offensive minded type of guy.
I don't want to say it's a bad hire. It's a terrible hire. Here's why. If you look at the playoffs right now, we're talking about NFL playoffs. I want to say 2, maybe 3 teams were defensive minded coaches that I could think of right off the top of my head. Right now, you look in the Super Bowl, there are 2 offensive head coaches. You look at the last 2 years of getting fired. 2 offensive coaches got fired, the rest were defense. The reason you're getting fired is because you're not doing anything on your offense. The only exception to the rules was the Minnesota Vikings, because it don't matter who goes out there, they can get a defensive coach, because guess what? They got firepower. So I really don't like the hire because your defense wasn't bad. You got to hire, and then you backdoor it and you hire the Green Bay's quarterbacks coach to be your OC. Like, you need someone to go on there and teach and work with Fields. Fields was last, and he holds the ball forever, and he's injury prone. So I think, to me, personally, I think with the guys that you had out there, you could have done a lot better.
I agree.
They're gonna have a top 5 defense, but that doesn't matter. But yeah, because we've seen what number 1, number 2, Ray, you mute. We see number 1 and number 2 get slaughtered in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Bears been good defensively. I mean, they normally do have a pretty decent defense. I mean, it's normally their offense.
But if you look at the Colts defense, the last game of that season when against the Jaguars, you know, his defense didn't look pretty good against the Jaguars offense. AJ, I mean, that was the best I think Lawrence has played all season long was against the Colts, and I mean the Colts hasn't won in Jacksonville in the last 7 years. So I mean, you know, if you look at that too, so maybe he'll do better in Chicago. Who knows? All righty. How about the news that Las Vegas Raiders hiring New England offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels and for the fire John Gruden. And this is the second stint in head coaching now job for Josh McDaniel. And we see what he did up in Denver. Is it going to be the same way, or did he learn from his mistakes?
I think he learned.
Coach.
You want me to go, Freddie?
Yeah, go ahead.
To be honest with you, I think he learned. I mean, he tried to be like Bill and realized that he didn't have the quarterback like Bill. So he to act like that. So now I think he kind of have his own little swag. And there's one thing about it, you in I'm about to say Oakland, you in Vegas. So I actually like this. Josh McDaniel, but then you gotta realize something too. You gotta look at the writing on the wall up there in New England. Because he didn't take the coach job because he was supposed to be the next man in line for the New England job. But I guess he might have looked at how Bill's doing structuring the cap and everything else. He might get in the mess. I'm telling you, I'm gonna say it again, Freddie, Ray, listen to me. Bill's only he got 2 more years because everything's gonna be dismantled and he's gonna be who he is. He's gonna show that he's not a good general manager and he's a great defensive coach, but he's not a good head coach when you don't have that quarterback.
Oh,
right. Go ahead, Fred.
I mean, I agree. Definitely got to see. I definitely think Josh McDaniels have learned his lessons. Definitely being back in New England behind Bill Belichick. He's going to come into a system now that they can keep Carr this QB position. They need another receiver. They need a few more pieces, but I definitely think he can be that offensive-minded coach that they need to help them take to another level. He'll definitely relate with the players better. They'll like him better. I like the hire.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels himself, I mean, he models himself after Bill Belichick. Then he learned that didn't help him the first stint. I think the second stint will be a little bit better because usually when coaches do get hired the second stint, some of them pick up what they need to do and what they did wrong and change it a little bit and get a little bit of perfection. But I mean, if you look at Bill Belichick's head coaching, people who went out for head coaching, they all got fired. Josh McDaniels and the defensive coordinator got fired at Detroit. So, I mean, so his systems hasn't really worked out. If Josh McDaniels can work this one out for the Raiders, it'll be the very first one that's actually worked out as a head coaching job. So, that's a good segue to move out of the football into the thing. And while we got Freddie on here, because we knew Freddie was coming to this one standing topic here, what is the state of the Lakers franchise right now? I mean, they're 24-27. They lost to Charlotte, then Charlotte got blown out by the Clippers the next night. So, I mean, what's going on with your franchise there, Freddie?
Listen here, man. I've been saying this all year long. It's not how you start the season, it's about how you finish it. Two good things that happened for my Lakers as of late. Anthony Davis returned last week, and since he's been back, he's looking dominant. Okay, he's looking like Anthony Davis of old. He looked like the Anthony Davis who needed a bubble. Love it. He bullied Joel Embiid, by the way, 32, 12, and 4 blocks. So I loved it. Russell Westbrook has been playing much better as late. Love to see it. He needs to continue. If he does what he's doing right now, he cut down on a lot of those turnovers and shoot the ball efficient, we're gonna be okay. LeBron, he's out because of a little knee soreness. I believe it's just because of year 19, just resting him. And which is fine. I mean, this team isn't built for the regular season. They're built for the playoffs. They are an older team. I do think they'll make a trade or two before the trade deadline, but we are all right. I mean, just long as, like Coach said, as long as we make it to the party, that's a. Because one thing I will say about a LeBron James led team, he's normally pretty good at this by making sure his team is ready by postseason. And I'm just like we trust Brady, I'm gonna trust LeBron.
Oh my gosh, man.
Let
me say this. I don't pay attention to basketball in September, October, November, December, nor January, nor February. They play too many games. And what you got to realize that it's not what you do in those days. It's what you do in March, April, May. That's when it's rolling. And that's the thing, like everybody keeps saying, well, they can't play together. You got to realize you had injuries and you got COVID. At one point, COVID hit them so hard that they weren't practicing. They were just showing up to the games. So you don't get that work together. That's why I haven't like everybody be ragging on LeBron and saying that well, this is LeBron picks. Hey, pump your brakes. Right now, they're still in the party. The party is getting in the playoffs. Once you get invited to the party, then now you can cause chaos. That's is when you're hot at that moment. Because you look at Golden State. Golden State was blazing at one point. Now what happened? Oh, Steph. He's been out of it for late. It's a marathon. So pump your brakes. That's why I kept trying to tell Freddie. Freddie, you want to debate about say LeBron this, and you say Westbrook. You got Westbrook for one reason. Westbrook is going to get you to the playoffs. I don't think he ain't never made the playoffs. So they're fine.
Yeah, I agree. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, I look. This is what I look at about the
Uh,
Lakers.
Here we
You
go.
know, it's not about no hate, no nothing. I'm gonna tell you like an analyst standpoint here. This is my standpoint. This is not a debate show. This is not gonna go off on Freddie. Me and Freddie gonna go off on each other. No, there's nothing like that. I mean, if you want to do that, we can go to real talk on that. That's our debate show. But you still, I mean, if you look at the serious situation, you got to look at here. Anthony Davis got injured. He's come back off an injury, but the last few years, Anthony Davis had not finished the season out. April timeframe, he got hurt. LeBron got hurt in the April timeframe. So now he got injured now earlier. Does Anthony Davis make it to the finish line now? Freddie?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I believe. Like I said, AD right now, he looks stronger. He's looked more dominant the last two games he played. We just need to continue to see this Anthony Davis. He looked like the Anthony Davis of old. He's one telling sign of it is that he's hitting his jumpers. Because when he started the season, he wasn't hitting that mid range shot. He wasn't hitting the 3-point shot, but he's knocking it down. He's looked good. I mean, as long as we get this Anthony Davis, it'll change the narrative for the Lakers all the way around.
I mean, if you look at it too, though, you look at the standing at 24 and 27, the 9 seed in the Western Conference. If the season did end today, they would be in the playoff game, in that playoff 9 and 10 playoff game. So, I mean, there'd be back-to-back playoff games too going into, this time they'll be in the number 9. They probably won't get Phoenix like they did that last year. I mean, maybe a great break right there for the Lakers there. I mean, Phoenix has been playing good at 40-9.
I think the best scenario for them is to get in the 5th seed. I believe that's still doable for them to get at least in the 5th. And I mean, you're not getting top 4.
Let me ask you this: when's I was saying when's Super Bowl? When is All Star Weekend?
All-Star Weekend is coming up in February.
February what?
Like 20th.
Okay. Okay. So this they're gonna rest. They're resting LeBron. They're gonna try to break at least 500 by All Star Weekend. That's the goal. The goal is to get 500 by All Star Weekend. Then for a fact AD gets a week off, Westbrook gets a week off. LeBron, he's not gonna really play too much in the All Star game. He's just gonna be chilling the majority of the time. And then I think they get like a half a week before they start the season back over. So that's two. So basically, the goal right now, if I was a Laker and I'm a Laker fan, is let's just get 500 because it's 4 or 5 wins in a row can get you to the 4th, the 5th, 6th seed. And again, I keep saying it, it's so early. You still got 2.5 more months before the playoffs.
And if you're looking at it right now, Denver Nuggets in that 5th seed that your magically number is, Freddie. Had they won their last 5 games, the Lakers have now lost their last 3 games. So I mean, the last 10, the Lakers are 3-7, and your 5th spot, your magical numbers are 8-2. But then the 4th seed guy is 2-8 in Utah. They have lost 5 in a row too. So that magic number could happen. But right now they're 6 games behind that 5th seed that you're looking at. But I mean, how about does the Lakers move out of the playoff? The play-in games, or will the Lakers stay right near the play-in games? That's going to be the question. If the Lakers have to play that play-in game, they're getting old. I mean, that could really hamper them too in playing that extra play-in game like it did against them last year against Phoenix.
Well, I don't think the play-in game stopped them last year. I just think injuries. AD got banged up. Then with LeBron's already dealing with the injuries. I mean, because if health is the most important thing right now. As long as they make it in there healthy, and then at that point, take the gloves off and see who's the better man at that point. I mean,
Now, do you see the Lakers?
and
Do you
apparently,
see? Go ahead.
and apparently that's their mindset because Anthony Davis came out and said, "We're a good team. No matter what happens in the regular season, we get to the playoffs, and we're a good team."
I mean, they're good experience. I mean, if you look at it overall, they got a good experienced team. I mean, they got a lot of veterans on there that played in, NBA games, NBA playoffs and stuff like that. And no doubt of fact, they got a, balance of the veterans out and stuff like that. But the question is, they're still getting old. And do they have to go out and get a right good young player to mix in with the old players to kind of help them with some of the stuff they're going to see? I mean, the Phoenix Suns are out and running. They're 10-0 in the last 10 games. So, I mean, you got to get somebody that can compete with some of these young teams, too.
Yeah, but in the game, the playoffs slow down. It's more half court. That's why they just booking it, just making it to the playoffs where it'll benefit them a little bit more than a run and gun team because you're not running and gunning like you would in the regular season in the playoffs.
But also you got to realize something too, Ray. And this is one thing you look at Golden State. They're a finesse team. Them shots, they're gonna wear and tear and they're gonna lean on them. If they put, and this is me, I've said it. You keep AD out there at the 5, or you put him at the 4. Put LeBron at the 5 or the 4, and then now you go a little bit smaller at the guard, and not smaller, but you got more the younger cats at the shooting guard and small forward. That opens up a lot because now Bron can post up. Now AD can go to the half court mark at the 3-point line, which he wants to be because he's friendly. So I just think there's a lot of opportunities that you can do, but again, everybody has to be there at the same time. Like I said, because of COVID and because of injuries right now, they haven't. The goal is at All-Star Weekend be 500 or above. If they're above and 500 and above, then they're fine. Because then now you get that 2 weeks break, and now you can be rocking and you can be rolling. Because a lot of teams are hot early. They can't withstand that the whole year. Because you've seen it with Golden State when they went 70-something 10. They said it was at the point where it was tiring mentally, physically.
I mean, I agree with it. I mean, NBA is 82 game season. It's very long. It's a marathon. I mean, you don't have to play good the first 3-4 months at least. By April, March and April timeframe, that's when real basketball begins for the NBA. I mean, because you're battling for the spots for the playoffs, and you got to get your teams gelling. It's got to be gelled perfectly going into thing. But that's the one thing about the Lakers. I mean, they missed so many players in one time. They'll have after the All-Star break to gel. Is that enough time to really get them gelling again?
Yeah, because you know who you need to gel? Everybody except LeBron. Because one thing about LeBron is he's known for his IQ. So he can watch and look, and you can kind of tell, okay, this is what they like to do. They got rhythm shooter guys. They don't have a guy. Their players are not just sit there and just stand up. Everything has to be a rhythm. So they have to have the ball in their hand. He can mix it up to where let's get them going, and then I can still halfway get mine going. Or I can work a little bit with the second unit. You can rotate them. Like there's a lot of ways that you could play with it. I just feel like, again, the season's not over with. And one thing about NBA, and I said this plenty of times, this is the number one stat. The average age to win championships is between 29 and 33. That's the average age. Everybody keeps hooping and hollering about like I was telling Mike about the Bulls. The average age is 24, 25. They're not going to win championship. It takes time. You got to go through it because it's a battle. And with a team like LeBron and them are going to be physical. They're going to lean on you. So all these like Golden State, they don't match up well against the Lakers because they're going to 6-7 games of them leaning, being physical and pushing you around.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. Hey, Coach, thanks for having y'all being. Thanks for Frederick jumping on here. Yoel will be back next week for the host part, and I'll be part of the panel again. So, I mean, we got about 50 seconds, 10 seconds here before I have to be off the air. So this has been Ray and Coach and Freddie for Bring It. on the All Sports, All Place Network. Have a good night.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.